President Trump says the brutal double murder of a Hollywood power couple is the result of Trump derangement syndrome. Less than 24 hours after Rob Reiner and his wife were found stabbed to death inside their Los Angeles home, Trump took to social media to blame Rob Reiner's politics for the killing. Reiner's son has been arrested and is currently being held behind bars, though Reiner was an outspoken critic of the president. No connection to politics has yet been established. Here to discuss, The Hill's White House columnist Niall Stanage. Hey, Niall. So I wanted to read a little bit of this tweet so we can set up this discussion. This is what Trump wrote in part. A very sad thing happened last night in Hollywood. Rob Reiner, a tortured and struggling but once very talented movie director and comedy star, has passed away together with his wife, Michelle, reportedly due to the anger he caused others through his massive, unyielding, and incurable affliction with a mind-crippling disease known as Trump derangement syndrome. Now, Trump went on to say that Reiner was known to have driven people crazy by his raging obsession with the president. Your thoughts?
My thoughts are that the tone of it seems obviously indecent to me. I mean, obviously we try to be fair to all sides when we cover these things, but I don't really know what the argument in defense of that kind of tweet would be. This is the President of the United States ascribing a murder to the political views of the person who has been murdered, when there's no indication that that plays any part in it at all, nor is there really any indication that Trump genuinely believes that motivated the killing. It seems to be just an attempt to get his own back on someone who has been very violently killed.
We have seen some pushback from Republicans. Representative Thomas Massie, Republican from Kentucky, said that this tweet was inappropriate and disrespectful discourse. He challenged anyone to defend it. Marjorie Taylor Greene, the Republican from Georgia, quote tweeted the president and said that this should be handled much more delicately than that. She said this is a family tragedy, not about politics or political enemies. Do you think this breaks through the normal partisan shield that protects President Trump from criticism, especially within the Republican Party?
There obviously has been a small amount of that penetration when we see the posts by Congresswoman Taylor Greene and Congressman Massey there. Those two figures, though, are quite maverick-type figures within the Republican Party these days. Thomas Massey has always been so because he hails from the libertarian wing of the GOP, which, is not dominant and has never really been so. Marjorie Taylor Greene obviously was a very close Trump ally, but has become increasingly critical of the White House and the MAGA movement in recent times and has broken pretty vigorously with Trump. So whether their criticisms are echoed in the wider Republican universe, I still am pretty unsure about.
I can imagine we might be on the verge of hearing a lot of statements from Republicans saying that they haven't seen this tweet and that's why they can't respond to it.
Yeah, I imagine. That seems to be the go-to excuse a lot of the time whenever Trump does something that Republicans don't want to comment on or don't want to align themselves with. Things like this do cause a massive stir, even by the pretty belligerent standards of Trump's tone of communication. I think attacking a recently murdered person is obviously an exception, and I think that Republicans will not be eager to align themselves with that, even though I'm not expecting a tidal wave of criticism from within the elected members of the GOP.
After the assassination of Charlie Kirk, there was criticism, especially on the right of the left, that the political rhetoric needed to be toned down to prevent stuff like that happening. It doesn't appear that the president is taking the advice of maybe even that he gave to other people or that many conservatives had after that tragedy.
Yeah, I think that's exactly right, Drew. After that tragedy, there was a lot of scrutiny of the political rhetoric that we see in America and the tone of that rhetoric. But it is just a matter of objective fact that President Trump and the Republicans have trafficked in that kind of rhetoric themselves. Now, in this case, it's not necessarily inciting violence. I mean, sadly, Rob Reiner and his wife are dead, and that Trump was responding to those deaths. But this kind of very crude and aggressive rhetoric, I think, is problematic in the larger sense, which is what your question's obviously getting at.
Reiner was highly critical of President Trump. Do you think that this is just another sign that in politics nowadays the gloves are completely off and there's almost nothing that you can't say about your political opponents and lose favor among your political supporters?
Pretty much, and that may be an unfortunate reality, but I think it is still a reality. What we have seen, certainly within the past 5 to 10 years, is the guardrails really come off American political rhetoric almost completely. It is now very rare for a politician to face any real sanction or to face any broader penalty from the electorate for engaging in very, very aggressive or inflammatory rhetoric. President Trump has in many ways led that trend, although others have ascribed or subscribed to it as well. I would personally prefer that to change. I would prefer people's rhetoric to be more modulated, but I don't see a lot of sign that that's happening.
Yeah. All right. Well, we'll continue to follow this story. For now, we'll leave it at that. Niall Stanage, thanks so much.
Thanks, Drew.